Item number 7, Ms. Doctor.
Mr. Mayor, I move that Resolution 2008-164, appointing Barbara Hayes, said term to expire February 8th, 2010, be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? It's unanimous.
Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Hayes is in the audience this evening.
Ms. Hayes, would you stand up for the cameras, please? Item number 8, Ms. Husky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2008-165, reappointing Julia McCaw and appointing Dan Abrams, said terms to expire October 9th, 2010, be approved.
Second.
And I know Mr. Abrams is here.
And Julia's here. Okay, just so we ensure that the applause was not premature, all in favor? Item number 9, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2008-166, an intergovernmental agreement for Huachuca City Affluent Recharge Project, be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Patuchik.
Thank you, Mayor Strain, members of the council. Resolution 2008-166 represents an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Huachuca City in order to provide grant administration services for their portion of the Huachuca City Fort Huachuca Effluent Recharge Project, which is a project that is being administered by the Upper San Pedro Partnership. We are doing this as a result of our role serving as fiscal agent for the partnership, and Huachuca City will be remunerating us $6,000 in order to provide these services. Because Huachuca City needs the help, and because it is a project of vital importance to Fort Huachuca, I believe that we should assist in this matter.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Turning to call to the public, let's start out with Mr. Norm Wham. And if you would, sir, your name and your street address.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Norm Wham, 101 Judd Street. I thank you for the opportunity to have this call to the public. This is one time I can get everybody and anybody who is involved to get my 2 cents worth in. My question is some of the city priorities, like Avenida Cochise was just completely resurfaced and striped. And to me, that was a perfectly fine road before they did that. You're cutting out the cracks on East Fry Boulevard in order so you can put tar in them. They're that small, you got to cut them out. What about Wilcox? For years now, those cracks have got to be at least 3 inches wide and some places almost 2 inches deep. Nothing's been done. And it's been, I know, at least 3 or 4 years that people have complained about them in the paper many, many times. And it seems like, let's see, where we're at here. Get my directions right. South of Fry Boulevard, north of Golf Links, west of 7th Street, and east of Buffalo Trail. You forget about the so-called West End. Nothing's been done. A couple of rock walls put up on Fry Boulevard. For years you've been talking, you're going to do this, going to do that, going to take care of the West End, clean it up. It's getting trashier and trashier. I've lived in that area for over 30 years. When I moved here, Golf Links was the elite neighborhood. It's now become one of the trashy neighborhoods, especially the West End of Golf Links. Nothing's being done, and I'd like to know why. You know, I pay my taxes, pays your salaries. Someone's got to do something, get to the right department, and hopefully get something done. And the poor neighborhood officers, they're not getting support. I know I've talked to one constantly. He stops by and tells me he's been working on people for over a year. That's well beyond the city ordinance. Nothing's been done. Nobody seems to be helping him. So, I appreciate listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wham. Subject there, folks, was priorities and adequately expressed. Somebody from staff will be getting in touch with you, Mr. Wham. Mr. Larry McKim.
I'm Larry McKim, and I represent the Southern Arizona Veterans Memorial Cemetery Foundation, and we're located at 1300 Buffalo Soldiers Trail. I'm here to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the council members for the $30,000 grant that you gave our Historic Soldiers Relocation Project. That was about a little over a year ago that was dedicated to us, and that was coming to us through the state's Centennial Legacy Program, which our project was designated as a legacy project, and it took a little U-turn because the state had some trouble with figuring out when and where they were doing what they were doing, but we got it, and we really appreciate it, and on behalf of the veterans and the families of the veterans in this community, we thank you.
Mr. McKim, what's the total dollar value of that project, and when do you anticipate?
We are, Mr. Mayor, we are over 89,000 in cash. We've got, our goal is 125,000, and we have every reason to believe we're going to make it. The dedication of this and actual reinterment of these soldiers that are coming out of Pima County will be on the 16th of May, 1000 hours out at the cemetery. We're planning a major ceremony that will be nationwide. Actually, we've gotten interest from all over the United States. So
good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have no indication that others wish to speak to us, so I'll turn to comments and requests of council. Mr. Blanchard, please.
I'd like to defer being first to Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So I get your extra 5 minutes.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody appreciate that. Actually, before I have an announcement to make, before I make that announcement, I want to say that last Friday and Saturday, the EAA, Local Experimental Aircraft Association, the Airport Commission, and Department of Public Works put on the annual fly-in and flew 149 students, young adults, on Friday and 158 on Saturday, for a total of 307 flights for the Young Eagles program, which is the 4th most in the history here in Sierra Vista, and it was a tremendous turnout. And I want to thank everybody that participated in Public Works again, and Mike Enseth and his crew did a tremendous job. So. And a brief announcement tonight, on October 9th of this year, I received notice that my contract at the university is not going to be renewed due to state budget reductions, and which means that my position is going away. And since that notice, I've pursued opportunities elsewhere and have accepted a position out of state, and will be taking that position early next year. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Blanchard.
Yes, and I'd just like to say that I really hate to see you go, and you've been a tremendous addition to the council, and I've always had a great admiration of your work, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you. Mr. Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to echo the sentiments of Mr. Blanchard. It'll create a big void in the council, and I know you're a baseball fan, Craig, so I'll use an old baseball phrase. Say it ain't so, Joe. Okay. Mr. Mayor, thank you again. I'd like to recognize last night the Commission on Disability Issues, or CODI, had its annual election. I'd like to announce that Mr. Derek Coates is now the new chairman. Gail Mortensen was re-elected as vice chair, and Dave Monkowski is now our new secretary. And also last night we brought in 3 associate members, Isabella Trujillo, Mary Tangway, and Audrey Peterson-Hosto. We really appreciate the associate members, and we wish Mr. Coates, Ms. Mortensen, and Mr. Monkowski well for this dynamic commission. They're really doing some great things. Also, I'd like to recognize tonight, Mr. Mayor, some new hires to our city team. Erica Salas, who's going to be working in human resources. Rebecca Hoyt, who is a public safety dispatcher. And Mr. Mark Robles, who is a Sierra Vista Transit driver. Ron Burdette, another Sierra Vista Transit driver. Rex Ray, a Sierra Vista Transit dispatcher, and Jessica Vinoy, who's going to come to work for us as an animal control officer. So I'd like to welcome them all to the city of Sierra Vista. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.